Call to order at 6:31 p.m. Discussion regarding the former IP mill site. We do not have any updates there yet, correct? That's what you just said?
Excuse me?
No updates on the IP mill yet,
That's
right?
correct, sir.
Yes. I was half absorbing what you said before. Review of the North and Church Street Complete Streets Engineering Proposal. Again, no updates regarding Complete Streets eligibility and such.
Correct.
And nothing else from the group, right? Colin? Review of the Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Program Policy, third read.
So I was mentioning to Brian earlier, I appreciate his work on pulling all the HUD information that we had briefly mentioned the last meeting, that it was out there, and he pulled in the most recent. And I had stated previously, I would like to see the income limits be set at a high enough level to offer the maximum number of people to apply. Now, should we get into a spot where we have more than 10, then we have to use the mechanisms that we have available to triage that and cap it at 10. But I would like to, offer that up as just sort of the rule that I'm using when I'm looking at proposing whatever those numbers should be. Now, whether or not we want to have a multi-level household size, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is in there, although we've only ever used 2. Like the example is town of Amherst, only used 2. Northampton, I think, uses up to 6 in their household sizes. I think given that where we fall in the median household income, around 70,500, through 1 and 7306, it's pennies, difference.
Between us and the county? Yeah.
Yeah, between us and the county. I think putting us somewhere in that vein, whether it's a little below that, right at that, as your starting threshold, I don't think is a problem. Many people have, while they may meet the threshold income, they may make what we would consider a decent wage as a retiree. We have no idea what somebody's financial situation is for what they're actually paying, what they're taking care of, what they're doing. So I'd like to set it high enough to ensure that those that meet up to that threshold are still able to apply. And I don't want it to feel like it's too excessive of a threshold. I mean, right now I think we're at like 35,000 or something.
I believe that the numbers that we presently have are grossly low, underset. What I was going to propose, and I had many of the same thoughts you did, and also tying in that we set the earning rate to be consistent with current minimum wage. What my thought would be is to set the income level consistent with the Franklin County low income rate, which for a family of 1 is 61,350, a family of 2 is 70,100. Now I stopped there, but as you said, depending on the household size, and the data's already there, and yes, thank you, Brian, for pulling this. I think it would make sense to carry it across for, a household size as they match. Those numbers are right in the same ballpark as, lower than or higher than Amherst, lower than Northampton, and in the ballpark of the county averages.
Are you suggesting all the way out to 8? I mean, I think that might be a little bit further than we need to.
Right, 4,
Six.
6.
Yeah.
Why not just reference it?
Well, that's the other
Instead,
thing I was going to say
Why not
is
just reference the Franklin County Low Income HUD table,
Right.
and then just for the current year, or for, the most recent release?
the most
and
recent
then
related, and then
reissue
as
let
they
it
adjust
stay
it,
with it, then we're not adjusting it like
And we
minimum
don't have to
wage.
worry
We're not
about it.
adjusting it every time.
Right, and
We
that,
could reference it for the year if we
I believe
wanted
it's
to.
reissued every April.
right?
So it'd be out, yep.
and that way the policy stands the test of time and we don't have to revisit it.
Right, and if
Or
it's
go to an
issued,
appendix.
if it's revisited and reissued every April, then we would know by the July 1 start, and we'd know by the application period of what, if people had to inquire about that, it would be available, and they would know whether or not
Right,
they,
okay.
because the application period, I'd have to go back and read it, but it gives them time to look at that
Absolutely.
and see what it is. I'm fine with that language if we want to craft something that just says,
So
is
remove
based
the
off of-
table.
remove the table and just put a narrative that it's, just
Right.
as we did with the, instead of the number of hours, it's just based on the current Massachusetts minimum wage, and the number of hours is based on
Divided into
the
X
totality
dollars.
divided by, same thing.
And you can put language in there, it's released by April. If it's not released in time for the, application period, we use the prior year.
Yeah,
Or something just in case, if that's a
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah, so current guidelines or most recent.
Yeah, or most recent, exactly.
you have the language that you feel is appropriate, or do you want us to craft something? Because honestly, I'd love to move this along tonight, if we could, because really it was just the income, and there was the 2 other changes we put in there related to under benefit limits, cleaning that up, that it's the current Massachusetts wage, and then the maximum number, the language in there, which I had no issue with talking about. It's just the formula. Other than that, we haven't changed anything else, and I didn't have any other concerns with the language. The reason I'm asking to move it along, if we can come up with some language and vote on it tonight, is we're getting down into, we're in September already, and we're only running, if we want to allow anybody to attempt to apply and do it and meet our deadline of, this is only runs through December 1st based on this policy. So this would give a short window, but it would give somebody time to earn as much as they can.
Right.
So do you want to, we'll table it and come back to it at the end of the meeting? Give it a little time if you want to make
Yeah,
those
'cause we have
edits as time
6:45,
allows,
right?
and, yep.
Sure.
And then
we can draft that,
we just
that
come back at the
language.
end and look at the updated
Language.
language and make sure it meets what we want, and then
Sure.
adopt accordingly at that point if we're satisfied. All right, so we'll come back to that at the end of the meeting. Review of surplus equipment request for IT department, second read.
Jake, you had put on there recycled. Is there any, I think you might have mentioned this, but is there any value to anybody? I know all the hard drives have been removed. There's really
Right.
nothing. Are they old enough where it's not really valuable for anybody?
I mean, you're pushing 6-7 years.
Yeah.
To me,
I
no,
see that, but I was just wondering if we want to offer it up
I
before
mean, maybe
we
the
just...
2000 CRT monitor might be a relic for somebody, but maybe going the other way. I don't know where that came from, but
Good.
I don't think
I don't have any
so. I
concern-
mean, looking at them,
I don't have any concern with
I
it.
didn't see any
doing
value
them
in
as
them.
scrap. I just didn't know if it was
Yeah.
worth at least offering it before they go to the scrap, to say they're here, first come, first serve. They'll be here for a week.
Hey,
If
they're-
you want to
they're
come
already
grab
piled
them,
up, so if
they're
we-
yours. It's
can
there's
support
nothing
that.
valuable in them, and there's no hard drives. But
Sure, fine.
yeah,
Matter to me. Sure,
Is it-
somebody wants them.
Is it cheaper than disposing of them?
Yes.
Yes,
I mean, they may end up there anyway, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with it if we have
Yeah.
the ability to support that. Sure.
Okay. I don't have any
Talk with
concerns
Brian
with
about it and see if
yeah.
we can do something or not just to put it out there and make it available. First come, first serve. No warranty, no guarantee, no no functionality. Sure. Okay.
I have no concerns with it otherwise.
Okay. Meeting minutes of August 12th, 2024, August 28th, 2024.
Keep moving right along. I'll make a motion. We approve minutes from August 12th and August 28th as written.
Second?
Any discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Review and issuance of the 14th water commitment for FY24. Why did I miss that? I might have missed that somewhere in there. Why the 2024?
There was one commitment that was missed for a final use. Can't remember the exact property.
Prior, okay,
And that will reconcile the books for FY24.
I gotcha. And that's why the current read date's 5/9,
Correct.
even though we're billing it around 9/5.
Right.
Coincidentally.
Yeah.
Close to. Okay.
Make a motion to issue and approve the 14th water commitment of fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $40.80.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Review and issuance of the 4th water commitment of FY25. And 5th. Might as well do them together unless you want to do them separately. 4th and 5th for
Now we'll do them
2025.
together. Make a motion to issue and approve the 4th water commitment FY25 in the amount of $450 and the 5th water commitment FY25 in the amount of, I wrote it down here, $9,360.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a letter of resignation for the planning board from Janice Vegaleros. I thank her for her time on that board and wish her well. We'll add that to our regular vacancy posting.
Yes.
With that, it is 6:45, so I'm going to call the joint meeting with the school committee to order. Come on up.
Dan had mentioned he would like to speak.
He caught me.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep. Welcome.
Yes. Yeah. Still.
We are a quorum at the moment.
Or not.
No, we're not actually.
Not, but it's okay. There's a majority, though, of
remaining
the
members.
combined, right?
Whoa,
Because that's
we are.
sufficient. There's no quorum under 3.
There's what?
You're a board of 5, right?
Yeah.
A committee of
We
5.
have 3 members.
It takes 3 to be a quorum. It doesn't matter your filled seats.
Yeah. You're,
Okay.
There we are.
Now.
now.
However, for the appointment, For this, it's a quorum of the combined, I think, so we need 5 of 8 to get there.
Yes.
Which we were just
Yes.
at.
And we
so.
were just at, so
Either way.
now we're
We've
over.
got plenty now.
Good.
Welcome. So we have a letter of interest from Dan Hammock to review and discuss. Dan would like to say a few words, if you don't mind.
Not
Come
at
on
all.
up, Dan.
Thank you, Jake. So that I don't ramble on and on, you have plenty to do. I wrote a couple of notes, and usually I don't work from notes, but I didn't want to forget things, and I wanted to get out of here so you can get on with your business. First and foremost in my mind was, and to anybody who's listening, I encourage other people to get involved. I don't want to do everything there is to be done in town. I enjoy helping out, but I encourage people to come out and spend an hour a month of your time. And to that end, I waited till the very last minute of the very last day before I submitted my letter of interest because nobody else had. And I'm pleased to do it. And some people would ask why. I think, from what I've seen, everybody would probably agree relationships could get better, whether it's between the collective bargaining people, the superintendent, the principal, the school committee, parents, whoever it is. Things probably could get somewhat better. And to do that, in my mind, I plan to listen, learn, understand. I don't know everything there is to know about it, but if you don't understand the issue or the problem, we'll call it, your chance to find the solution is about 0. You first have to clearly understand. And for me, part of understanding is for everybody to understand and to help them understand. The school committee has certain responsibilities and things they have to do. The superintendent has different responsibilities. Parents' responsibilities are certainly focused on their kids. Collective bargaining units have responsibilities to their members. Teachers have responsibilities. And over it all, the whole big umbrella over everything is we want to get the best education we can for our kids because they're our future. And everybody cares, not just the parents, and some parents care more than others. In my view, everybody should, but anyways, if we're clear, so that we don't have a school committee trying to tell a collective bargaining person what they can or can't do, or we got a parent trying to tell a superintendent what they must or must not do. So we all understand our lanes, we understand what it is, we go to the correct area with our problems and our issues and have a better chance to resolve them, but working together. And one group that I don't want to leave out is the taxpayers who are paying for everything. We're all responsible to them. We want the best education for the kids, and test scores can be misleading and misunderstood, but if we have test scores that are low, how I think we all want for those things to be better. How do we get there? So just trying to help people work together better than perhaps they do now. And to end also where I started, I encourage other people, if the election's coming up in May, if somebody is interested, I would love to have them, be interested and sign up and get out some nomination papers and run for the job. We don't all hate each other, and the more we can work together, the better off we are, and the better off we are reaching the goal for good education for our kids, being responsible to the taxpayers so they don't feel like they're being fleeced. And so that's why, in my experience, is negotiating things, and how you say things is frequently as important as what you say. You may disagree with somebody, and you could say, well, you're a jerk. Or you could say, there might be a better way to look at that, and you get a better response. So I'm hoping I can be a benefit on the board, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Why'd he motion towards me when he said you were a jerk?
Just kidding. Self-conscious.
Could be.
I've worked with Dan on other boards, so I'm happy that he has put his hat in the ring. I've been encouraging him to do so. So I'm glad to see him there.
Questions or concerns?
No, I had mentioned to Dan before the meeting that I was very happy to move forward with his nomination. So,
Thank you.
Great. All right.
I will make a motion to appoint Daniel Hammack as a member of the school committee through June 30th of 2025.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, roll call vote. Brian, we call the roll.
Selectman Moyne,
Aye.
Chairman Smith,
Aye.
Selectman Bastarash,
Aye.
Chairwoman Bailey,
Aye.
School Committee Member Platley,
Aye.
School Committee Member Caitlin Maley.
Aye.
Thank you all for your confidence in me, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, you can get with the town clerk and get you signed, sworn in at your convenience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that is the sum total of our joint business for tonight.
Indeed.
Make a motion to,
Announce what just came through.
Oh, yeah, you might as well.
yeah, might as well, we're here, right? So we just received a,
Oh, you want to do that? Okay. I didn't hear what you said.
you're
You
good
just
with it.
forwarded it to us minutes before the meeting started.
Oh, yeah,
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 we
yeah.
just
I just
got
didn't
it,
hear you
so-
say
Sorry.
it. Sure,
Okay.
sure. We can do that.
all right. We just received a letter of resignation from Eric Sem from the school committee. So in the midst of adding to it, we have now another vacancy. So there is an opening for anyone else who is interested.
Dan, you know anybody in town?
It's a rowdy audience tonight, but we thank Eric for all his time on the school committee and wish him well. So we have that to add to the list now.
I will
So,
add that. Perfect.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind posting.
I will do
Plus
that
one,
this week.
minus one, so
Yeah.
back to
We'll
four.
get there. We'll get there.
Absolutely,
Sometime.
absolutely, but still better than being at three. So
Yep.
we're glad to have Dan too, so. All right, with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn the joint meeting with the school committee and continue the select board meeting at 6:53 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a good
Have a
night.
great evening.
Enjoy the rest of your night.
Review of the engineering proposal for Care Drive sewer extension. Pete, come on up. Yeah, yes, Pete, please come up. Excuse me. All right, so we have the tie and bond proposal. Pete, anything, what's your thoughts? Anything, concerns, issues, good, bad, otherwise?
The only part in this that I had a concern with, which we're investigating now, is whether it's a 6 or 8 inch water line out on Route 63. And everything that I've spoke with Ty and Bond, as far as anybody can tell, or everybody, the consensus is it's a 6 inch. So what we're doing right now, what I'm doing is doing a static head pressure on a hydrant here, and then probably in the next, if we got time tomorrow, do it, the flow rate and the pressure when it's open. And that information I'll give the Ty and Bond. They'll do the figuring out if, how we'll go about it from there.
Are they gonna be able to calculate the size of it, or just they're gonna compare the flows with the expected need?
But comparing flows with what could be expected.
And we called it sewer extension, but really it's water, wastewater in the proposal
Correct.
encompassing.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, because
As far as the wastewater goes, everything's fine. My concern was, I expressed to Brian before, that we put in some grinder cutter pumps for pumps. That would be my only thing that I would like to see, and I'm sure it will be.
put in the proposal. Put in as part of, elaborate, please. Put in when, how, where?
Well, I'd just,
Design.
yeah, by design, that there are cutter pumps in the new pump station.
questions on the proposal?
Well, based on what you just said about the unknown with the water flow between a 6 or an 8-inch pipe, and you have to check that, do we have any idea how this changes if you don't have the water flow that you need with a 6-inch, if you don't have the head pressure?
Then the question would be, do we want to put in booster pumps?
But the work of tasks 1, 2, and 3, are they altered at all based on that knowledge?
No.
I didn't see anything that would alter, but I just want to make sure, knowing that if we're moving on 1, 2, and 3 tonight, that we're not changing the scope of those 3 tasks. But it's more about construction at that point.
So okay, just to clarify, 1, 2, and 3 we're asking for specifically because they will inform the opinion of probable cost. We have a working conceptual cost, but it's not detailed enough, and there's certain specifics that that Time Bomb will need to research with the water and wastewater departments to work into that final design before we'll have an accurate concept to bring before the 3 of you. And then if we have an approved concept, then we'll have a true cost that we can then seek the appropriate funding for, put in the capital projects. So no, at this point, it's safe to move forward with those 3 if the 3 of you were inclined.
I believe you said we had 149 available,
Correct.
which covers the task 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
I didn't have any other concerns with it.
Do you have any concern, Pete, that they would not be doing borings, if I'm reading that right, in the paved surface, only in the non-paved? Or is that not what pavement corings are? Under services not included on page 6. I don't know how the depth may differ with those lines versus what we have right now, and if that's of any concern under the paved area?
No.
Okay. I know some of it will come as design, but is this design, or are you planning to have a design proposal that lets us maintain the existing 2 without tying them in initially if needed? As a separate project or a separate phase, or are you expecting that we'll have to do them all at once?
Is for here in the library tying in, I would imagine they would do them all at once.
I guess what I'm saying is, can we have the option, can we, when we're doing the design, look at it with an option to do them later rather than at the same time? Because the cost, depending, the cost difference, there's obviously cost savings to do them at the same time, but it is still a greater cost, right?
Yes.
So, I don't know what you gentlemen think, but I think it'd be good to, along the way, there'll be a point to have that discussion, but have that in play.
If it's broken out as an option, we can, depending on what the climate looks like, we can either accept the option or,
Right. Or we can put it as an alternate if the fundings are questionable, you know, or the costs are questionable, but to match our funding, so. I think it would be good just to have it as a, you know, there's gonna be some overlap, right, in those 2 proposals, but finding a way to break those out, tying those in as a separate piece that may or may not happen at the same time. Unless there's technical reasons that we can't do that, which is for you and them to figure out.
Okay.
Other than obviously, that's not the preference, but.
So the preference would be to do it all at once, but
Right.
unless it's cost prohibitive and would,
You rip up the road once. You tear up the road once.
What is the 149? Where is that coming from?
It was appropriated from your wastewater enterprise.
For-
So, For the extension of the sewer, Northfield Road, Care Drive for the senior housing project. So we won't be able to do the water portion of this, and I've asked them to break that out. But we can pay for the wastewater portion of this. So I will need to identify a source for the water portion of the design. But at least we can begin with the sewer portion.
And there's no grant funding for this stage that we've identified yet.
Not yet. We're starting to meet with our legislative delegation this week to start to discuss opportunities.
So either way, you're still looking for task 1, 2, and 3 in those dollar amounts. You just want them broken out so you can attribute a funding source for each one
Correct.
of them.
And for now, we're only going to proceed with wastewater because that funding is identified. And if you're okay working on the 3 steps for the water, we will secure or search for the funding for that piece.
But we need to get that number.
Correct.
And you've already requested that from Time Bond?
Correct. There
How big
was
is it?
some last minute vacations at the end of August, and so I believe we'll be getting it beginning of this week.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns on it? I think water, as you mentioned, if we need booster pumps or something, also need to loop in fire and what their take on some of that might be.
Okay.
And where those live. Are those specific to that building or are they infrastructure for us?
Okay.
Because I don't know much of anything about that. So.
Right.
Did the senior housing committee want to add, or do they have any questions? Specific? Come on up if you do. I believe you've already talked about it, so.
I have to say that it's kind of tough to hear in the back, and a lot of the conversation between the board and the wastewater director, I could not hear. So,
Okay.
am I understanding that there's a problem with the 149, that is not enough to do steps 1 through 3?
Those 1, 2, 3 are water and wastewater, and that funding is only allocated for wastewater. So we can't use it for the water portion. So Tie and Bond is splitting the tasks out between water and wastewater separately so that we can identify how much we can move forward, how much the wastewater portion is, which we can move forward with. And then that will help us figure out how much do we have to find for the water side.
We talked about that briefly at the meeting at the very end. So the Senior Housing Committee is in support of moving forward with steps 1, 2, and 3, and hoping that as we move forward, it might make us eligible for grant monies and things like that. So that's why we're here, is just to show support for moving forward.
Thank you. Anything else you all have?
No.
So then are we looking to get the two proposals before we do anything? Split? Or what would you guys like to do?
I've been asking myself that same question, trying to figure out. It's hard to move forward. Like in principle, I'm in favor of 1, 2, and 3 for both water and wastewater. Yet I don't know when we'll be able to find a funding source
For the water.
for the water portion. And I don't know what that dollar amount is. If they come back and say that that portion was only 20%, that's a lot different than, well, the water was a lot trickier and that's actually 80% of it. And it changes the whole dynamic of what we're looking for and a timeline of when we think we can secure that. Are you fine with a motion to approve contingent on finding suitable funding for the water portion of those tasks? It's still iffy because we don't know what the dollar is.
I feel like if we're gonna make a contingent on that, we might as well see the split proposals and act then, personally. Because it's not
Should have it this week.
gonna,
Yeah,
Change
I don't
much.
think it'll change. I mean, just in principle alone, I'm in favor of task 1, 2, and 3 as well. I just want to know what we're looking at when we go to actually find the funding for the water portion.
Yeah, no, we understand that it has to come from different pockets of money, and they're
Yeah.
both enterprise funds, so that's fine. We knew that there might be a slight delay, and so,
Yeah, I don't think it'll delay the project at all if we need another week or two until our next meeting to be able to vote on it with real numbers. That way we can actually parse out the wastewater, put a number to it, and get it moving, and then figure out the water.
yeah, and depending on how, I mean, if it's small enough.
If it's
there
small enough, we might
are
have the
some
funding
ways we
and we
might
do
be
it all
able
at
to
the
be
same time.
creative, we
Yeah.
can figure it out, so.
Yep.
So that may let us kind of move quicker, actually, by waiting.
Yeah.
Though it's not separated into the two categories, was it helpful to see the overall engineering proposal plus the current conceptual opinion of cost? That
I
was
mean,
the
I like the
intention.
first part a lot better than the second part.
I was going to say, that number at the bottom with the
Yikes.
conceptual costs, I
Agreed.
wasn't a fond of, I wasn't fond of that one, I should say.
Agreed.
Not when you added the design and engineering in, too.
Yeah. It
Yikes.
got really expensive really quick.
Yeah. I feel like 4 or 5
short
keeps
answer is
floating
yes,
through my
it
head in the
was
past, but a bit more than that. Yikes.
Can I ask just a follow-up? When you get the revised proposal back with that delineation between water and wastewater, do you want to see all the tasks again, knowing that we're still only at this time talking about 1, 2, and 3? Or would you only want to see a proposal that is only including those first 3 steps?
I personally think at least seeing all of the numbers will help form a decision going forward, so it's a, 1, 2, and 3 is like, okay, yep, we can afford that, and
Okay.
I might, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but if I were to lose sight of those other 3 items, I'd hate for that to come back and be a, oops.
So we'll keep this level of detail. We're just going to add that breakdown between the two. Okay.
I think that's good, especially if there's then a further split along the way about these two existing buildings tying in or not. You know, that starts moving one of those costs more. So I think there's so many pieces to it. The detail. It's not very detailed, but the detail's good.
Agreed.
So yes, all
I'll get that for you this week.
within reason. We're not looking for them to spend weeks more on it. So, you know, where it's simple to split it out as best they can.
So I would just like to add that we do have an upcoming meeting with Senator Comerford on the 13th.
Okay.
It's a Zoom meeting, and Representative Lee, Whipsley. And obviously, hopefully we can begin the the flushing out of what our situation is and what funds we may need in the immediate future, or could need use in the immediate future. But we will keep you updated as to how that flushes out. And we can't, we're behind in applying for the grants and can't begin to apply until February of 2025. And then from the first initial grant, that grant will indicate those agencies and departments that we should go through for the official grant. And that won't happen until May or June of 2025. I mean, that's the earliest those things can happen. But we want to assure you that the committee will diligently move forward with any and all steps we can to keep this project moving forward in a way that's good for the community as well as for the board, and hopefully can flush out those financial issues that are a concern for you guys and us.
Thank you.
Kind of related to that, I know RDI had some timelines that we were
Yep.
working toward, in the negotiation process. Were they able to hit those and submit? Do you happen to know?
We know that they have received some grant money, I believe a couple of $100,000.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what they're using that for. And our last meeting, I thought they might be there, but they weren't. So I'm hoping that in our next meeting, which is the 30th of this month, that we can sit down together and figure out that timeline and where they're at and where we're at as well. So.
That's what I was getting at. Thanks.
They'll be at your next meeting.
Okay.
They were
Great.
optimistically surprised that the grant money they did receive came in so quickly. They were expecting a little more time before they were awarded the grant, so they're looking at it as a positive sign.
Good.
And so are we.
Excellent. All right, so I think we'll
Hold it until our
We'll
next.
hold it and we'll look at that split proposal
next
next
meeting.
meeting, and then we'll probably take some action at that point to
Right. Thank you.
continue on. Thank you all. Thanks. Review of the North Street resurfacing project procurement. Come on up, Glenn. You're the next contestant.
Evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
So just for a quick update, we came to you a few meetings ago about the resurfacing on North Street of the delamination. After speaking with all of you and going back out measuring a few times, we finally come to the conclusion and an agreement on an amount to spend out of the Chapter 90 money. So Brian put together the IFB, put it out, had a mandatory site walk, just because it wasn't just an easy mill and overlay from start to finish. Two vendors did show up, and those are the only two, obviously, that bid on it. Everything was completed in their bid packets, as it was supposed to been. Warner Brothers at $428,650, and Palmer Paving at $457,122. So the low bid is actually $8,650 over what you all had said we could spend up to out of the Chapter 90 money. But it would be our recommendation that we spend that extra $8,650 that was originally approved to get the work areas done that we needed to have done.
And we have how much in Chapter 90?
Enough.
That's a very specific number.
It was around 500 and change. Some of it's some of the money that we thought we were gonna need for Chapter 90 money out of the Maple Ave. We don't. It's, I believe that was they're taken out of the fair share. So there's plenty of money. I think it was around 500,000.
That you're asking, I can't find the spreadsheet.
That's okay. I'm teasing. Enough is enough. And it's all qualified, right?
Yes.
The whole length, the whole project's qualified for Chapter 90?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
And we had the vendors verified through the pre-qualification office. So MassDOT has approved the IFB, the advertisements, the vendors, and the final
fully
results.
funded, yeah, okay.
So,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna, so of the 500,000, the 71,350 will be enough to cover any other expected or unexpected things that come up.
We're hoping there's nothing unexpected.
Oh, yeah,
Here's
just
to
say
hoping.
Here's to hoping. And so this does not include line painting. That's going to be taken out of our regular maintenance line painting item. All officers' road detail is paid separately also. That is not coming out of this. That would probably come out of the road work money.
For a job this size, you can cover that?
Yeah. This
remember that
is
in
not
budget
going to be a
season.
very lengthy job
No, I
once they get going.
figure they could probably mill it in
Probably, 2
days.
few passes.
I would
we're
say
hoping,
probably
right?
a 2 to 3 day
Yeah,
process.
yeah. They could mill it in a day and half and half, 2 days of paving.
I certainly think it needs to be done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
The plow guys think so too, along with the residents.
I think it'd be an interesting experiment to what it'll look like after another plow season, if we get snow. Or ice.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions? Do you want to make a motion?
I'll read it off. I'll make a motion to award the procurement for the North Street resurfacing project to Warner Brothers LLC of Sunderland, Mass. 01375 in the amount of $428,650 and to authorize Brian Smith, Town Administrator, to execute all necessary agreements.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
I
Thank you all very much.
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing that cleaned up.
Yep. It was great to see Bridge Street open and Maple, and so progress, lots
Yes.
of progress. And whenever we get to that point, the closeout on funding sounds like it'll be a positive ending,
Absolutely.
favorable.
I did walk around Maple and Bridge over the weekend and went underneath and looked at the wall, and
It's quite a project. With a few snags that happened with the sheeting, the project had turned out well, the wall turned out well, the road, the drainage, the paving on Maple Ave, all of it. Yeah, it did. It was a nice project. Turned out very nice.
I know it's not the topic, but do we have the gate for the POTW?
we have the gate to finish. We have the pole to finish. We followed up on both topics. And just final pay apps and close out.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all
And then we'll have a
close.
budget number for that also.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Review of the historical property survey project procurement.
There it is. And I sent the bid submission as a separate, it was password protected and very large, so it didn't merge into your packets. But, a lot of detail there.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I did not get a chance to read all 90 pages.
I brought a printed
You
copy.
brought him a
really?
hard copy? I'm
Would you like a
disappointed.
few minutes?
I'm disappointed in myself as well. No, I did go through and look.
Before you jump into that, Kelly, are you here on behalf of, or no? No? Okay, all right, just wanted to check. All right, continue, sir.
Well, I was just going to say, I did look through some of the documents, and I didn't see anything in there that would, the sample work that was in there, nothing precluding this person from doing it. Nothing stood out as troublesome at all.
I've heard back from 3 of the references on the recent projects. All have said that the work was high quality and that Brian in particular, on behalf of Brian at Research, was very responsive to their needs and gave them a professional product. So they were very satisfied and recommend working with them.
Nice.
I did make the caveat that because the project's 50% funded by Mass Historical, it does have to be approved by Mass Historical as well. They've worked with this vendor in past, so they are aware, and they know that the work quality meets their qualifications, but they still enjoy the right of final approval before we proceed. So I did recommend a conditional approval from you all.
I mean, given that, if you wanted to read every page, we could bring it back at a future meeting, or we could act on it tonight, whatever you guys would prefer.
I don't,
It's going to be waiting a little anyway.
I don't believe it's necessary to bring it back.
What's that?
I don't believe it's necessary to bring it back.
No, nor do I. I
Okay.
did a very high-level skim through it, and there wasn't anything that jumped out at me as cautionary, so I'm willing to move forward.
I have no concerns.
Hearing that, I will make a motion to award the procurement for the Erving Historical Property Survey Project to Brian Knight Research of Manchester, Vermont, in the amount of $38,350, subject to approval by the Massachusetts Historical Commission, and to authorize Brian Smith, Town Administrator, to execute all necessary agreements.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
That brings us back to review of the Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Program Policy. Third read, new draft.
Brian, thank you for the email.
Hopefully that works. I'm noticing that in the first line, the word "are" should have been "as." As defined by.
I just have to put those side by side because it's throwing me off and I saw it.
Yeah, I didn't even want to pull it up. I just left it there side by, that's my side by side.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
When reading it though, so just for those at home, the language, and thank you for Brian for putting it together, eligibility based on income limits as defined by the low income category under the adjusted home income program limits as established by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for Franklin County, Massachusetts, which is anticipated to be issued annually. And I'm just wondering if there should be language in there that says, based on the most recent, or is it just, I know it's redundant that, you know, we're basing it on that, but I want to make sure that they understand that it's the most recent. So if they're applying and they're anticipating one coming, but for whatever reason, they're, you know, HUD's late in putting that out, we revert back to whatever the most recent one is that's available at the time of awarding.
As
We use the word current in the minimum wage, so I think something similar or
Based on the current income limits,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
current
I mean,
available.
current available income limits.
Yeah. That's the only piece that I had, is I just want to make sure that people, when they're applying, understand, because they can, that's accessible information, and with full knowledge, knowing that that's what they're basing it on. And if they're delayed by 3 or 4 months and they're applying on whatever the most current one is at the time.
Makes sense.
And I think proper English, it would be currently available, not current available.
Yes, currently available.
It's been corrected.
I was correcting myself.
Just wondering.
where did you drop that in there?
It now reads eligibility based on the currently available income limits as defined by, and then the rest of the statement continues.
I feel like it's on the wrong side of that sentence. Because the income limits aren't currently available, it's the report that's currently available. Or, right?
Yep.
So I just feel like it's not
shift that.
prefacing the right thing. Based on income limits as defined by, and maybe it is the most current, or instead of currently available might be cleaner,
The most current?
low income.
So you're saying,
Or, no, I guess it doesn't belong there either. By the low income category under the adjusted home income program limit.
It's just
as
semantics.
established by, yeah.
yeah, it's wordy.
Wow. Well, then I will defer to the grammar expert over here. Yeah.
I'm not multitasking well tonight. I'm thinking and trying to listen at the same time.
And I'm rattling on because it started to not work, and then I stopped.
Second, so it's just another sentence. This is a long enough sentence as it is. Follow up with applications will utilize the most current available table at the time of application. I mean, we have deadlines of when they need to apply by, so.
Applications will utilize the most.
Current adjusted home income limit table
Available.
available at the time of application. When you're done typing, because I don't want to interrupt you.
We did put a deadline,
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, should it be the opening or the closing?
closing.
It's somewhere, I'm thinking closing, so then it'd be July 1, right? Or June 30.
Yeah, no, we didn't take out
Starts July 1, so
applications, we were taking,
When do we, I have to go read that
You
part
think I'm
again.
gonna remember that? That was like a month and a half ago.
It's right here.
I know.
It's at your fingertips, I promise. Yes?
Just hypothetically, though, if at the time the application period opens, the new guidelines haven't been issued, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith say we're over the limit, we're not going to apply, and then subsequently the new limits come out prior to closing, and we go off the closing, and then Mr. and Mrs. Smith realize they could have qualified, but we're not aware that it's incumbent on them to track HUD.
Yeah, I mean,
And you could go the flip side and go, 2 weeks into it, they're like, yeah, I
Well,
can apply
so-
now, but, oh wait, you used it before.
Can I make
No,
one
I-
little friendly, yeah, if they knew what the HUD things were before, then they can find them again. But can we also, we put this on the website, can we also post a link
yes.
to that? And so it's right there. If they're online checking out the policy and they're online checking out the application, there's a hyperlink. They immediately can see the table, and that's up to the minute.
No, I like that. And again, I'm just thinking out loud and for the benefit of anybody
Yeah,
that may
no,
not be
I
with
get
us
that.
tonight. But
I'm also thinking if there's people that don't qualify and they change after we've closed, if we're not full, there's nothing that precludes anybody, correct, from applying after the deadline is. The deadline is only there to give us a working timetable in case we have more than 10 applicants and we have to get this rolling.
Right.
But if somebody decides in August or September, because HUD was late in determining, and lo and behold, they made the threshold when they finally put it out in August, they can apply in August.
Right.
As long as there's space available.
Right. Okay.
and if not, there's next year.
There's the next year, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I can live with that.
Making sure there's nothing else that we,
Yeah, I'm just going through
Rereading
the
it.
dates again. There's already eligibility as of July 1 of the fiscal year, so just a clean and
Just keep it the same?
consistent, I
So whatever.
would recommend, you know, the current available, or whatever that language we used was, as of July 1st,
Yeah,
of the current, of the,
I'm fine with that.
that
That keeps
period.
it consistent between all the documents.
because that's the 60 years of age or over limit is on July 1, so.
And that comes from the statute.
Right,
Yep.
so just to keep it consistent, so they know there's one number, and yes, unfortunately, if it comes out in August, then it's next year, but
Then, yeah.
it is what it is. Does that
Okay.
work?
So we use whatever one's available on July 1.
Got it.
Okay.
Any other concerns with it?
No.
Brian, with the policy going, if it's approved tonight, you have everything you need to enact it?
We can begin this week.
So, can we have it read one more time in its entirety, just to make sure?
So this is that subsection M, eligibility based on income limits as defined for the low-income category under the Adjusted Home Income Program limits as established by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for Franklin County, Massachusetts, which is anticipated to be issued annually. Separate sentence, applications will utilize the most current Adjusted Home Income Program limit table available upon application. Change that to July 1st
Yeah,
Yeah.
available on July 1st,
as of,
Available, yeah.
or available as of July 1st.
Yeah.
available as of July 1st.
Of the current year.
Of the current year.
Do we need to reference the appropriate household size?
The table already does that for you.
It said the low-income category. Which one do I pick? The one that I like?
Well, they are,
I'm being smart, I know that, but
Okay.
I'm asking the question of the group, because I know stuff can get sticky sometimes if we're not specific. If we don't need to be that specific.
Are you talking about the differentiation between 30% very low, 60% and low?
No,
Or-
it says it's defined by the low-income category.
Yeah.
Income limits by household size, or, like, it doesn't say it doesn't pull
Got
in the
it.
household portion.
Oh,
So my
I see.
question was, do we
Okay.
need to reference
By
My
household.
apologies.
low
I get what
income
you're
for the
saying now.
appropriate size household, or eligibility based on the household size, income limit as defined, or something like that?
So after low income category in the first line for the appropriate household size.
Or you could put it in the very beginning, eligibility based on household size, income limits as defined, or something like that.
Based on household.
income limits by household size as defined by low-income category, so forth, so on, yada, yada, yada.
Income based on income limit, eligibility based on income limit by household size as defined. Okay.
Right. I like it.
Brian never wants to do
Now
that
we've got
sentence
it.
again.
It's a lot of commas, but yes, we have
It is that is a mouthful of a sentence, but it gets it done.
Yes.
Okay.
Every comma pays a lawyer's salary, just remember.
Jeez. Okay, I'm good if you are.
Yep.
I am good. Uh, If we're going to move on it tonight, Brian, do you know where this would fall in the, you know where I'm going?
Great question. Because I thought about that as I was
In the
mowing the
code?
lawn the other day and didn't go back to look at the chart. Give me one moment.
I should have looked it up earlier. I apologize.
Policy. We haven't numbered too many of our financial policies yet.
I was going to say, there's only a handful.
We've only done, we're only through number 10 at this point. So if we wanted to create a separate section just for tax-related policies such as abatement programs, we wanted to keep enough bandwidth for now. If you just wanted to skip and go either to Fin-20 or Fin-30 and just create a new section for tax-related items.
Yeah, we can do, we'll do 30.
Okay.
You have it on a 3-digit Fin-030 or?
Correct.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else got any issues with it? Make a motion, we approve the senior citizen property tax work-off program policy, policy number FIN-030. I could say as amended, but it doesn't, as amended.
Second?
Although, yes,
With an effective date.
Effective September 9th, 2024.
Thank you.
second as amended.
Oh, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We will get that issued. Thank you.
I did think it was kind of weird voting it as amended, seeing how it's not an existing policy. We amended a draft.
Amended draft. I mean, that's probably the word that's
Yeah.
missing. That's why you paused.
Yeah,
get
I
it now.
paused. I was like, we're not really
I was like, we did
amending.
amend it. No, we
Yeah.
amended the draft. Okay.
No, we just
I
continued
follow.
to draft
I
it.
follow what you're saying, yeah. Next meeting. So I will not be available the next 2 weeks, so up to you guys. I think at this point, given what's going on this week, bandwidth to meet on Monday is probably not there, was my recommendation, so would say the 30th or for
Yeah,
guys to meet.
I'm
That
available
works.
any of the Mondays. I don't have anything going on in September, so whatever day you pick
Wait,
based
I'm
on.
sorry. I said 30th. I didn't mean that. 23rd.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Okay.
And you're not going to be here the 23rd?
I'm not available 16th or the 23rd.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, based on,
I think we have a few things queued up
Few
already,
requests.
so probably. I know the 16th is not doable, but
Right.
the 23rd is probably. There's no issues with that you know of, right?
Not that I'm aware of. Okay.
So then I will be around the week of the 16th, so I can help set an agenda and everything, but I won't be
Okay.
here to review it, that's all. Does that work for you guys?
it works.
Okay.
We'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Excellent.
We'll
Sounds
do it by
good.
committee.
What's the majority of two? No, okay. With that, I guess, any other business anyone has?
None.
Okay. We'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:39 PM.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.